వేరే నేమ్ మీద రమణ సార్ ఇంకో ఐడి ఉంటుంది సార్. రమణ అనుకుంటా యూనివర్సిటీ ఉన్నారు, ఇంటికాడ ఉన్నారు. ఇంటికాడ ఉంటే వేరే ఐడి వస్తుంది, ఇక్కడ ఉంటే ఆయనని మోర్ ఆయన అదే పోతుంది మీరు ఇక్కడ వేరే వాళ్ళు వస్తున్నారు.
సార్ కిరణ్ గారు, హలో కిరణ్ గారు,
ఇంకొకటి ఏం చేయాలి, న్యూటాల్ ఒకటి న్యూటాల్ డైరెక్ట్ తీసేయండి, చెక్ తీసేయండి. ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళు అన్మ్యూట్ చేసుకోకుండా ఉంటారు జెమ్స్. ఓకేనా, భవానీ శంకర్ అన్మ్యూట్ లాస్ట్ అన్మ్యూట్ మోర్కెళ్ళి ఆస్క్ స్టార్ట్ చేసి ఇది రెండు చేసుకుంటే అయిపోతుంది. ఆయన స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే వచ్చేస్తుంది, ఆయనకు పర్మిషన్ ఇచ్చేసిన ఆయనకు పాపకు వస్తుంది, ఓపెన్ చేయండి మనం ఇట్లా పర్మిషన్ ఇస్తాం.
good afternoon friends. In the last class, we have discussed Unit 5. Today we'll be discussing Unit 6, Social Structure, Social System, Social Organization and Culture. The main objective of this lesson is to make you acquainted with some of the sociological concepts such as social structure, functions, social systems, and so on. Now let us discuss about social structure. Social structure is one of the most frequent used terms in sociology. Instead of using this social structure frequently, there is no specific and universally accepted meaning and definition for this social structure. So, however, this social structure reveals several sociological insights, my dear friends. Let us see some of the definitions of this social structure. It is there in page number 81. According to Radcliffe Brown, social structure is the arrangement of persons in institutionally controlled or defined relationships like husband, wife, and so on. We are going to talk about arrangement of persons in institutionally controlled and defined relationship. For example, right now in our class, we are going to have a structure like we have the teachers and the students. Okay, we are going to have a defined relationship like the teacher is going to deliver the lectures for you guys and you are going to listen to the lectures, and if you have any doubts, you are going to try to solve your doubts, my dear friends, by raising your hand when the lecture is going on. So it is arrangement of persons which is institutionally controlled or defined relationship that we call it as social structure. In current like sociological usage, the concept of structure is applied to small group as well as large associations, communities, and societies. In the previous classes, we have discussed about communities like rural community, urban community, tribal community. So even in these communities, my dear friends, whether the organization is big or small doesn't matter. Each and every association, organization, or group has its own structure. It has its own structure. So this structure is going to can be applied for each and every aspect. So what are the prerequisites or the functional prerequisites of a society? There are four functional prerequisites of a society, my dear friends. The first one is we require a system of communication. There must be certain communication among the individuals. Whether it's direct or indirect doesn't matter. We require a communication system. The second one is an economic system which is going to deal with production and distribution of goods. We are going to have an economic system which is going to deal with production and distribution of goods. Okay. The next one is we are going to have arrangement of socialization through family and education. If a society has to sustain, if a society has to carry forward their legacy, carry forward their culture, tradition, and so on, then the next generation should be trained in that way. Socialization is the process in which we are going to educate the child with the norms and values, with the culture which is being accepted by the society. So the individual who is there, he is going to learn in order to conform to the norms and values which are there in that particular society. So we are going to have arrangement of socialization which may happen through family or through educational institutions. Sir, konjam evaru mute cheskuntara? Sir, mute chestara? Okay. The fourth one is we require a system of ritual serving to maintain or increase social solidarity. To increase social solidarity. If there is no unity among the individuals, remember, if there is no unity among the individuals, if there is no coordination, if there is no cooperation, my dear friends, at the time it leads to disturbance, it leads to conflict among the individuals, and there is a threat that that society cannot sustain for longer period. So we require some mechanism wherein we can maintain or increase social solidarity among the individuals. At the same time, this solidarity is also going to give social recognition to personal events like birth, death, marriage, and so on. It is also going to give the recognition for the personal events. Now let us discuss about the elements of social structure. Elements of social structure. The structure of society refers to the way society is organized. Society is organized into different parts like institutions, social groups, status, as well as roles, my dear friends. We are going to have different parts in the society. Like we have family as an institution, political institution, economical. Likewise, we are going to have multiple institutions. At the same time, we are also going to have some groups in the society We have the status to the individuals and the roles to be performed by the individuals. So the first one is, let us go for social groups. Institutions are made up of these social groups, remember. Then what is this social group? A social group is defined as two or more people who are going to have a common identity, interact with each other, and are going to have a form of social relationship. Two or more people who are going to have common identity and who are going to have interaction among them, and they are going to have a form of social relationship that we call it as a social group. For example, right now, if we take ourselves, here we are going to have two or more people sitting in this classroom, okay? And we are going to have an identity. What is our identity, beta? Right now, you are the students of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, and I am the teacher delivering the lectures for Ambedkar Open University Sociology students. So both of us have the common identity that you are the students and I am the teacher. Both of them are working for this university. And we are going to have certain form of interaction among the individuals, like how to interact with each other, how to do the work, everything. So that we call it as social group. Social group, my dear friends, can be categorized into two types. One is primary group and the other one is secondary group. Primary group and the other one is secondary group. In the primary group, the size of the primary group is always smaller. Remember, the size of the primary group is always smaller, whereas the size of the secondary group is always larger. In the primary group, we have direct communication, okay, face-to-face interaction. We have intimacy, which may or may not be found in the secondary groups. We have discussed about groups in the previous lesson in lesson number 5, my dear friends. So it can be classified into primary as well as secondary groups, my dear friends. The structure, the social structure refers to a fixed relationship between the elements or parts who make a complete whole. For example, in the year 1997, I got an opportunity to go and to visit Sriharikota. When I went there, I have seen that there are a number of departments within Sriharikota. All of you, I hope all of you have heard and know about Sriharikota. It is a rocket launching pad which is there very, very close to Nellore, my dear friends, in our neighboring state, Andhra Pradesh. So when I have gone there were different departments. At one department, they are going to prepare the satellite. At one area, they are going to prepare the drums. At one area, they are going to process the crude oil, which can be used as fuel for the rocket. And at one place, they are going to assemble, like there are multiple departments there. I may be specialized only in purifying the crude oil, preparing the crude oil. The other person may be making the cylinder so that I can fill in the crude oil into that. The other person is going to work on electric wire. The other person may be working for ignition so that there will be a sparkle so that the rocket will launch. And the other person, but all these people collectively are going to prepare a rocket, prepare the satellite so that the rocket will be launched into the space and the satellites will be placed into the orbit so that the purpose will be fulfilled. We may place the satellite into the orbit for telecommunication, maybe for defense purpose, maybe for educational purpose, or for any purpose, my dear friends. If the purpose has to be fulfilled, both the things, all the people who are there in different departments have to work properly, cooperate with each other, each department, so that their ambition or their goal will be fulfilled. So we are going to have different elements or parts who are going to have proper relation or fixed relationship, my dear friends, who are going to make the whole process a complete one. That is what is structure. These structural elements of human society are norms, values, status, roles, powers, authority, and so on. The structure and its parts are developed to accomplish certain goals or certain ends, my dear friends. So each and every person who is going to perform the act of going to perform any role, they are going to do that work so that they can reach a common goal, my dear friends. Common goal. What is the duty of this educational institution, beta? Its duty is to impart the knowledge to the next generation. That is the duty. so that you get the knowledge. You can use this knowledge in the practical purpose. That is the main duty or the intention of this educational institutions. It has to promote rationality of thought process. Its duty is to encourage the people to have disciplined life. That is the main purpose. So we teachers, we are supposed to do that activity. Now let us discuss about norms. Norms are the basis or the foundations of social structure. A norm is a social rule that specifies how a person needs to behave, how a person has to behave. Each culture has its own ideas. Each and every culture has its own ideas about how people have to behave or act. So norms are there, therefore, specific rules which are going to dictate the human beings, regarding their act in a particular situation. These norms may vary from one culture to the other culture. These will affect all aspects of the individual life, their standard of life, their expectations to conform. Everything will vary from one society to the other society. It is the cultural specification which guides the behavior of the persons. So in each and every society, we are going to have norms. Okay, in each and every society, we are going to have norms, and each and every individual is expected to conform to the norms, So in order to attain the goals, what we do now, we are going to have some certain sanctions also. Certain sanctions will also be used behind these norms, like for example, in terms of these norms, my dear friends, we are going to have certain sanctions that we are going to follow it, but we have to keep in mind that if any person is going to violate the norms, we are going to have certain rewards and punishments, my dear friends. Every individual from the childhood itself is taught certain norms right from the childhood. We call it as indoctrination. We say if any guest come to our house, we say namaskar, adab, sat shri akal. We are going to teach him. So whenever a person comes, we are going to greet them. And whenever a person comes, we also ask them like, would you like to have a cup of tea or a glass of water? Like all these values have been doctrined by birth, after the birth itself. The next one is we are going to make it as a part of their habit. So individuals get habituated to these norms. And the next one is individuals conform to these norms because they find these very, very useful for them. Non-conformity of the norms may lead to chaos or it may lead to confusion. So they are going to see the utility value of these norms. And the next one is by following the norms, we are going to be identified with the group. So we have this group identification. Conforming of norms will lead to group identification. Now let us discuss about the types of norms. We are going to have like folkways and mores. Sociologists have identified like into two types. One is folkways and mores. Folkways was literally mean the way of the folk, nothing but how the people are going to their routine, everything like. The way individuals have devised fulfilling their needs for interaction with one another and for conducting their day-to-day life. That we call it as folkways, my dear friends. Folkways are therefore weak norms that specify expectations about proper behavior. But remember that if any person is not going to follow the folkways, there is no punishment for violation. There is no punishment for the violation of these folkways. Customs and these fashions are also identified as a type of folkways. Customs are practices that have gradually become accepted and as appropriate mode of behavior and remained. So became group acceptance. However, remember that if we are not going to follow the folkways, at the time there is no punishment for them. For example, if we go to a temple, we remove our footwear outside the temple and we go inside. We are going to change our hairstyle. We are going to accept jewelry and so on. All this changing fashion, all these customs are also being changed, my dear friends. And if we are going to change it for that, there is no punishment at all. But coming to mores, these are stronger than folkways and which are called as mores, M-O-R-E-S. We call it as more. Mores are those norms that specify moral behavior and constitute demands, not mere expectation, but we expect each and every individual to compulsory follow this. Whatever we are going to follow, mandatory one, that we call it as mores. The term more has been coined by Sumner, It is a Latin word referring to customs and manners, but it is used in the sense of morals, moral values. The mores are regarded as extreme essential for the well-being of the group, Now let us discuss about values. Values are socially shared ideas about what is good and what is desired or what is important. Values are socially shared ideas which talk about what is good and what is desired and what is important. So whatever is desired may change from place to place and within the same place from one generation to the other generation. If we see the older generation people, especially in the rural area, they desire to put on a dhoti and a kurta in terms of dress patterns. If we see the people, younger generation, especially in the urban and industrial societies, we see that they try to put on the jeans and t-shirts and you can see the different patterns. So what is desired may vary from one society to the other society. Whatever is desirable may vary from one society to the other society, but what is good that we need to take into account while deciding about value. Okay, so what is good, what is desirable, and what is important, that we call it as value. Values form an important part of culture of a society. Values will try to contribute to the stability of the social order. Values are the criteria people use in assessing their day-to-day activities and also give priorities in terms of choosing their lifestyle and also for looking the alternative courses of their actions, my dear friends. Then let us go for status. Status is nothing but the position occupied by an individual in the society. Status is nothing but a position occupied by an individual in the society. For example, right now, I'm going to have multiple statuses. What is that? Right now in the class, I'm the teacher and you are the students. You have the status of a student and I have the status of a teacher. And with each and every status, we are going to have a role associated with that. We also have a role associated. What is my role, beta? My role is to deliver the lectures, make you understand the concepts of sociology, and also help you in solving all your doubts so that tomorrow you can apply this knowledge in the practical purpose. My status is the teacher and my role is to deliver the lectures. And what is your status, beta? Your duty is, your status is a friend, and your role is to gain the knowledge or acquire the knowledge. So you're going to attend the classes, you're going to listen to the lectures, and whenever you are going to have any doubts, you'll try to get it solved, my dear friends. So both of us, you have your status and I have my status. I'm going to my home, my dear friends. I'm also going to have the status of the husband. Because I'm married, I also have the status of husband. So along with that, I also have a role to be performed. I have to take care of my lady and satisfy all the requirements back at home. And I also have a kid, so I'm the father to the child. So I also have the status of a father. So I have to take care of my child, satisfy all her requirements. Going to my mom, I'm the son. So I have the status of a son and I have to perform the role as a son, my dear friends. So each and every person is going to have multiple statuses, remember. Status is nothing but the position occupied by an individual in the society. Now, the statuses are governed by norms. The norms may vary with persons, situations. Okay, the norms may vary from one person to the other person and from one situation to the other situation. For example, norms are like honesty are universal. Each and every person must be honest, which we expect in each and every individual, in each and every profession, my dear friends, in each and every profession. So sometimes we find in all the situations, whereas in only in limited one. One individual may have several statuses, my dear friends. He may have multiple statuses. We have already discussed that. Now let us discuss about the types of status. Statuses can be classified into two types, my dear friends. Status can be classified into two types. One is ascribed status and the other one is achieved status. ఆపాదించిన అంతస్తు, అవరోధించిన అంతస్తు. Any status which has been assigned to the individual, any status which has been assigned to the individual by birth itself, that we call it as ascribed status. పుట్టుక ద్వారా వ్యక్తులకు ఏదైనా ఒక అంతస్తును ఆపాదిస్తే దాన్ని ఏమంటాం? ఆపాదించిన అంతస్తు అంటాం లేదా ascribed status అంటాము. Beta, how many of you have decided to be born as a male or a female? No one has decided, my dear friends. By birth itself, the people looking at our biological features, they have said whether we are a boy or a girl. Isn't it, beta? Whether it's a boy or a girl. So the sex, okay, is decided by birth itself based on the biological features. The sex is determined by the society. The age, my dear friends, the age of the individuals. If I get a chance, I want to be sweet 16, my dear friends, but it goes on increasing. I'm not going to do anything. Without any effort, it is going to grow. So the age is also going to come by birth itself. The next one, even our relatives, who are going to be our relatives? I did not choose who must be my parents, who must be my relatives. By birth itself, we are going to find the relations. So kinship is by birth, my dear friends. Sex, age, kinship. Not only these three, my dear friends, besides this, in which religion we are born, by birth itself we are going to get the religion. We are also going to get the regionality. By birth I am an Indian, by birth I am from Telanganite, and I hail from Warangal, so I belong to the Warangal district, my dear friends. So the region where I am going to born, even that regionality is being decided by birth itself. Religion, regionality, even the caste, my dear friends. All this, whatever we are going to assign to an individual by birth itself, that becomes ascribed status. Then the next one is achieved status. Any individual has obtained any position or status based on his ability and based on his efforts, then we call it as achieved status. All of you guys, you have taken admission into BA Sociology in Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. You have achieved it. So in order to achieve admission or in order to get admission into this university, what you are supposed to do, beta? Either you must have cleared 10+2 examination, you must have passed inter, then you will get direct admission, or else you need to undergo examination. And if you are going to be through the examination, if you have qualified in the entrance examination, then you will get admission into BA course like. So you have written the exam and you have cleared the exam, and later on you got the admission into this BA course. So you have achieved it based on your ability and based on your efforts. So if any person is going to earn anything based on their efforts, we call it as achieved status. The proportion of status in a social structure is open to achievement. It may vary from one society to the other society. Actually, if you see in the traditional societies, like in some parts of the country, like gaining the knowledge was limited. Only few section of people, and some of the people were deprived of going into the village. Forget about the education system, but they were never allowed to utilize some of the facilities or resources which are there in the village. So whether the things are open for the individual for achievement or not, it may vary from one society to the other society. It may vary from one place to the other place. In India, right now, because of the fundamental rights, each and every person has equal opportunities of going to the school, going to the college, getting employment opportunities, whatnot. We have this freedom because of fundamental rights. It is because of the blessings of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Most of the people, most of the socially deprived sections, now they are in a position to enjoy the benefits of this reservation. Whereas this is not found in each and every society across the globe, remember. So in some areas, everything is open, whereas in some societies, the social structure may not provide opportunity for each and every person to achieve the statuses. So wherever we can compete and succeed in life and attain any status, that is achieved status. Sports, people go and play games and they win the medals, it is achieved. Educational qualification is achieved. Job is achieved. See, beta, whatever we are going to achieve based on our efforts, that we call it as achieved status. For each and every status, my dear friends, we are going to have a role associated with the status. We are going to have a role associated with the status. Role is nothing but the functional aspect of the society. Role is regarded as the functional aspect of status. Sorry, not society, status. So each and every person has to occupy a position by which he is going to get some authority and some roles to be performed. Every status carries with it role, the expectation of what an individual should do in accordance with the particular status. What he or she is supposed to do with the particular status. Status and a role appear just like two sides of a coin, my dear friends, but they are different, distinguishable. A status is basically static. A status is always static, whereas a role is dynamic. A teacher is a teacher. My position is a teacher. And what is my role, beta? To deliver the lectures. And in terms of roles, my dear friends, it is dynamic. I can perform multiple roles and the roles can be changing, remember. And it can be shaped according to the situations and according to the persons. Right now, because of this pandemic, because of this COVID-19, right now we are not going to have offline lectures. Right now we are having online lectures. The medium by which we both of us are going to communicate with each other is entirely different. It is dynamic. Because it is dynamic, we are using this electronic media as a media so that we can deliver the lectures. So in this process, we have status and we have learned that we are going to have roles. And each and every individual is going to perform multiple roles. As we have multiple status, we also perform multiple roles. Now, I would like to add two words, my dear friends, which are missing in the book. When a person is going to have multiple statuses at the time, one status will be very, very dominant, and that may be influencing the individual behavior in all the aspects that we call it as master status. Master status. Think a person, a politician, has been appointed as the president of the country, has been elected as the president of the country. And after once the person has become the president of the country, tomorrow, will he say that I belong to BJP party, so I will speak only to BJP politicians and not the Congress and the other politicians? No, he's not going to say. He is going to, the president's status is going to influence his behavior and is going to behave just like the first citizen of the nation, and he's going to treat all the people equally, my dear friends. Okay, so at the time, the president's status is very, very dominant. And right now, for me, what is the highest status, beta? The status of a teacher. And it is going to dominate that in each and every sphere of my life, in each and every behavior. So that we call it as master status. So when we are going to have multiple roles, my dear friends, sometimes there can also be conflict between the roles. So we call it as role conflict. I will give one example so that you'll understand it. For example, I went to the office until I reached my home. Both my wife and my mother are having some disturbance and they're fighting with each other. And both of them are eagerly waiting for me to reach the home so that both of them can complain against each other. Once I reach home, my mama is complaining against my wife and my wife is complaining against my mother. So what should I do? Should I support my mom or should I support my wife? So obviously there is a problem. If I support my wife, my mama will be doing something. And if I support my mom, my wife may be like vice versa. So at the time, whether I have to perform the role of a husband or whether I have to perform the role of a son, what should I do? So at that time, I will be in a conflicting situation that we call it as role conflict, my dear friends. That we call it as role conflict. I hope you people have understood about status and the roles. Now let us discuss about social functions. Till now we have discussed about social structure. Now let us see what is this function. The term function has been has different meanings in different contexts, my dear friends. In ordinary meaning, in ordinary one, it is to do a thing or do something, my dear friends. The systematic formulation of the concept of function in sociology was made by Emil Durkheim. According to Durkheim, the function of a social institution is the correspondence between it and the needs of the social organism. The function of social institution is the correspondence between it and the needs of social organism. Merton also defined function as observed consequences which make for the adaptation and adjustment of a given system. Adaptation and adjustment of a given system. Okay, so here each and every person, they have their own needs. And in order to satisfy their needs, they are going to form a structure and people are going to perform the roles, my dear friends. For example, I'm going to deliver the lecture. There are two things for me. One is I have the passion towards the teaching, and the second one is the university is going to pay me some remuneration. Think if the university is not going to pay me the remuneration, will I come better? Maybe, may not be. I may have passion towards the teaching, but I also require remuneration so that I can satisfy the needs back at home. My wife is waiting for me, my kids are waiting, and it is my duty, it is my responsibility to satisfy all the requirements. For that purpose, I'm going to come and function, I'm going to perform the role as a teacher. And this institution also has a purpose. What is that? They want to educate the child with the accepted norms and values. They also want to impart the knowledge to the next generation. That is the main purpose of this institution. Institution has a purpose, and the people who are going to perform the role also have their own functions, my dear friends, have their own ambitions or goals. So, according to Emil Durkheim, what they have said, the function of a social institution is the correspondence between it and the needs of the social organism, nothing but the individual. Now let us discuss about social system. Social system is described as an arrangement of social interactions based on shared norms and values. It is the arrangement of social interactions based on shared norms and values. Individuals constitute it, and each one of them has a place and a function to perform in it. Within the social system, each and every individual is going to have a position, and each and every person is also going to have some function to perform it, my dear friends. Society is a system of usages, authority, and mutually based we feeling and likeness. When people are going to have we feeling, at that time only they will come together, my dear friends. When they have likeness, at the time they will try to come and they will try to cooperate with each other, and they will try to ensure that the organizational goals or the goals of the society will be fulfilled. At the same time, Even we may have differences in the society too, or among the individuals. And this society will try to develop some mechanism wherein the differences among the individuals could also be resolved, my dear friends. Obviously, there will be a number of problems, my dear friends, among the individuals because we are born and brought up in different places. Our ambitions, aspirations, goals are entirely different. So sometimes there in the society, we also have likeness and we also have differences. When we have differences, we are going to sit together and we try to resolve our differences, my dear friends. So in order to resolve our differences, we require mutual interaction. We require mutual interrelation of individuals. Without interaction and without interrelation of individuals, we will not be able to solve our differences, my dear friends. And when people know each other, when they are aware of each other, when they cooperate with each other, at the time they work effectively and the organizational goals or the society goals can be fulfilled. Society is nothing but a collection of individuals. And even in the social system, it is a collection of individuals with a specific position and a specific function to be performed. Remember, neither individual, neither group with in isolation, they cannot sustain. Even the individual cannot sustain, neither the society or social system can sustain and perform all the functions in isolation. Remember, they are bound to be united by norms, values, culture, as well as shared behavior. The pattern which is going to bring all the people into together or into existence is nothing but the social system. So each and every system or each and every structure is also going to have shared symbols and expectations too. You're going to have shared symbols as well as expectations from the individuals who are there in that particular system. Now let us discuss about some of the elements of this social system. The first one is faith and knowledge. People need to have faith on each other. If people does not have faith and if people does not have knowledge about each other, obviously what happens, beta? There will not be unity and uniformity. Faith and knowledge will try to bring about uniformity in the behavior of the individuals. And it is going to act as the controlling agency of different types of human societies. The faith or the faiths is the result of prevalent customs and beliefs and so on. The second one is sentiment. Man does not live with reason alone. Sometimes sentiments like social, notional, and so on have played an immense role in investing in society, which leads to continuity of the society. It is directly linked with the culture of the people. It is directly linked with the culture of the people. The third one is end goal. End goal. Man is born social and he is dependent. Remember, he is not independent. He is dependent on each other. And in order to meet his requirements and fulfill his obligations, people are going to depend on the other people. So man and society exist between needs and satisfaction of their ends and goals. So these determine the nature of social system. The next one is ideals and norms. Each and every society will lay down certain norms and ideals for keeping the social system intact and for determining the various functions of different units. These norms will be treated as the prescribed rules and regulations on the basis of which individuals or persons may acquire these cultural goals and aims. The next element of social system is role, status, and role. Each individual in the society is going to perform certain functions. So it is going to provide some status, nothing but, okay. The next one is, along with the status, we are also going to have functional aspect, that is nothing but role. The next one, we are also going to give some power to the individual. Power to the individual. So individuals are going to exercise the power. As a teacher, I have the power or authority to deliver the lectures, address your issues, and if the student is going in the having a deviant behavior, it is also my responsibility to help him to come out of that deviant behavior, or if he has anything, my dear friends, it is my duty. So each and every person, based on the status, based on the position occupied by him, is also going to get some authority and he's going to have some power. So whenever there is a conflicting situation in the social system, at that time, the person is going to invest some power in order to punish the culprit or guilty and reward the people who are going to. Okay, we are going to reward the punishment or give some rewards to the people. Okay, so the person is going to have that power. And the next and last element is sanctions. It implies confirmation by the superior in authority of the acts done by the subordinate or the imposition of penalty. We are going to have two types of sanctions, my dear friends. One is positive and the other one is negative. In order to motivate the people, and if people are working effectively, in order to again motivate them, we are going to use positive sanctions. We may give monetary benefits, we may give some rewards, awards, something like. We call it as positive sanctions. And if the people are not going to work effectively, or if they are going to violate the set of rules and regulations, at the time we are going to give negative sanctions, that is nothing but demotion, or else we are going to suspend them from the uh, office for a stipulated time. Like all this can also be done. So we call it as sanctions, my dear friends. So these are the elements of social system. Now let us discuss about the characteristics of social system. The first one, in the social system, we have said multiple people are going to be there. They are going to come together and they are going to work. They are going to have a specific position and a specific function to be performed. So it is the connection. It is the connection with plurality of individuals, nothing but number of individuals. Okay. The next one is each and every social system is going to have its own aims and own objectives. Aims and objectives. So there will not be any in system and there will not be any individual actor without any aim and without any object, my dear friends. So these activities have to be accorded with certain aims and objectives. The expression of different social relations are born just because of the result of this social interaction or human interaction. The next one is we are going to have patterns among the constituent units. People just coming together, simply coming together will not make it a system, or else people will not cooperate, my dear friends. So there must be something by which we are going to, there must be some pattern by which we are going to arrange the people in an order. We are going to arrange the people in an order. So for example, all of you guys, have you watched this movie Lagan? In that movie, the Indian people have made a challenge with the Britishers saying that we will play cricket with you guys. And if you are going to win the cricket match, then you are going to waive off the tax. Or else, the Britishers said, if you are going to lose the battle or cricket match, then you are supposed to pay Duguna Lagan, means double of the taxes. And the Indian people have accepted for the challenge. And at the initial stage, they were practicing cricket. When they were practicing cricket, there was a bowler and a batting person. And when the ball was going to one side, all the rest of the other players were running behind the ball. So if they are going to do that, what will happen, beta? The first thing is that the energy will be wasted. The human energy is being wasted. So when the British lady saw that, she came and said that if the ball comes in this direction, only the players who are there in this direction, they will try to field it. And if it goes to the other side, the players who are there in that direction, they will go and field that. So that energy will be saved. That will be organized like. The same way within the industry, my dear friends, we are going to arrange the people. We are going to arrange the people based on skills, based on skill set, based on authority, everything. And we are going to give the orders for them. We are going to have the orders and a pattern for various constituent units. who is going to be superior, who is going to be subordinate, everything will come in this. And the next one is we are going to have functional relationship. Functional relationship, my dear friends. We may have n number of departments within the industry or in the society like institution. But at the end, all the people have to come together and work. So that is the functional aspect of this social system. And the next one is physical or environmental aspect of social system. It means that every social system is connected with a specific geographical area or a place in time, in society, and so on. For example, you must have seen the police line. When we try to go approach the police station, police personnel, once we go there to lodge a complaint, they will ask, where do you stay? So they are going to see whether we come under their jurisprudence or not, whether we are going to come in under their control or not. If we are not going to come, then they will simply ask us to go and visit the other police. Or else if it comes under their purview, they will simply register the case and they are going to. The same way, each and every social system is going to have a specific geographical area or place, time, society, and so on. The next one is a form of cultural system. A form of cultural system. Social system is also linked with the cultural system. It brings this cultural system tries to bring about unity among different members of the society on the basis of culture, on the basis of traditions, on the basis of religion, and so on. And each and every organization is also going to have its aims and objectives. Aims as well as objectives. And the last one, once we go there, obviously because we have differences at the time, it is the duty of each and every individual to adjust to the norms and values which are there in that institution or in that system. If we are not going to adjust, you know what happens, beta? That system may not function. For example, because of this pandemic, COVID-19, do you know what happened, beta? If we see in the medical department, the doctors, the nurses, the other staff who are there, they are supposed to be in the PPT kits. They are going to put on the cloths, then use the polythene cover to protect themselves. And do you know, they have to be in the dress for almost 8 hours to 10 hours during the shift time. And during this shift time, my dear friends, they cannot remove their mask. They cannot consume water. Forget about having food, all these things. They cannot even consume water, my dear friends. They cannot go even for the nature calls. That is the flight. And you know, no AC, nothing will work. And during these 8 hours, they are going to burn a lot of calories and the body temperature is going to increase. It leads to suffocation. And these people are going to adjust so that the hospitals will function and the patients will be treated, my dear friends. So it is a duty. It is their responsibility to adjust to the changing circumstances and situations also. So adjustment is required. So these are the main characteristics of social system. Now let us discuss about social organization. A set pattern of relationship between individuals and social group is known as social organization. It is a pattern of relationship between the individuals and the social groups. We call it as social organization. Social organization includes size, means number of people, composition, cohesion, communication system, structure, leadership, and so on, my dear friends. According to Ogburn and Nimkov, social organization is an articulation of different parts which perform various functions. That means people are going to come together, perform various functions in the organization. For example, in a family, we have parents, children, and the parents are expected to perform socially recognized functions and roles. And they also expect the children to follow the command or the instruction given by the parents like. So that is what we call it as an organization. Now let us go for culture. Let us go for culture. The word culture has originated from the Latin word cultura, which means cultivation of the soul, my dear friends, which means cultivation of soul. Now let us see some of the definitions of culture. According to Dictionary of Sociology, culture is nothing but the values, norms, material goods shared by a given group. Culture always refer to shared symbols, meaning shared by most members of a society or by identifiable segments of society. So in each and every society, we are going to have culture. Culture consists of two aspects, my dear friends. One is abstract entities such as belief system, ideas which are going to influence the people, and tangible human-made objects that reflect these ideas. So we are going to have two types. One is the ideas and the material aspects based on the ideas, my dear friends. These two, culture consists of these two aspects. Now let us discuss about the elements of culture. Elements of culture. The culture is going to have 6 types of elements. The first one is a language. A language is a group of words or ideas having common meaning and is shared in a social situation. In other words, language refers to a set of words and sentences having specific meaning and terminology which is common in the literature, common in terms of a culture. So this language is used as a communication process which helps us to transmit messages from one person to the other person, to share the ideas and so on. Here, remember that the language differs from one culture to the other culture. If we see Telugu language itself, the language which is there in Andhra region and the Telugu language which is there in the Telangana region, we find slight differences, my dear friends, in terms of words we use. In terms of the words we are going to use and in terms of the meanings assigned with that. So it varies from one society to the other society. The next one is we are also going to have symbols. Symbols refers to anything which is used to represent or to express an event or situation. From this 25th or 28th, the Olympic body is planning to conduct these Olympic Games. So obviously, when all the people across the globe, all the sports person across the globe, when they go to Japan, at that time, what they do, in order to represent themselves, they are going to carry their respective national flag. Respective national flag. That national flag represents that the players are from India or from Pakistan, from America, or so on, my dear friends. So we are going to have certain symbols. For Hindus, we are going to have Om or Swastik. For the Muslims, we are going to have a crescent with a star, and for the Christians, a cross. Like we are going to have different symbols by which we are going, which may be associated with the ideas, with the beliefs, and so on. The next one is norms. Norms are nothing but the elements which are going to rule and guide the specific behavior of the individual. Specific behavior of an individual. The next one is values. Values depend on one culture, which also differs from one society to the other society. Values also, values simply refer to the desirable way of behavior. Then we also have belief system. Every sect within the culture has certain beliefs. Beliefs try to fulfill the needs and the wants of the people. In other words, it helps in satisfaction of the individuals. Then we are going to have cognitive elements. These are nothing but which let the individuals know how to cope up with the existing social situation. How to exist with the social situation. Culture, culture will try to include the knowledge about the physical and the social world. And this knowledge will be essential for the survival of the individual in gathering the food, clothing, shelter, travel, and so on, my dear friends. So these are the cognitive elements. So these are the 6 elements. These are the 6 elements of culture. Now let us discuss about the characteristics of culture. Characteristics of culture. But if anybody comes to your house, how do you greet them? We say Namaskar, Adab, Sat Shri Akal. How did you know it? Your parents have taught you and you have learned it. We have learned from our parents, from our grandparents, or from the society at large. So culture is learned. We are going to learn it because they have taught us, because they have shared with us. That is the reason how we have learned it. If our parents or the society is not going to teach us, we will not learn. They have shared the knowledge and we have learned. So second one is culture is shared. The third one is culture. Because they have shared, the culture is being transmitted from one generation to the other generation. My parents have been trained by their parents. My parents have trained me or shared the knowledge, and I'm going to share it with my kids. And tomorrow, my kids may be to their kids. So that is means it is being transmitted from one generation to the other generation. That means it is continuous. It is moving from one generation to the other generation. That is continuous, my dear friends. Okay, so we are going to talk about the society. The culture is the product of society. Remember, culture is the product of society. Culture cannot stand all alone in isolation. That is the reason why we are going to call it as social. And when we have said culture is going to be continuous, it is also being consistent. It is interconnected. Remember, it is integrating, it is consistent, and it is going to be interconnected with all the aspects. Whether culture is static or dynamic, remember, culture is dynamic, it goes on changing. Remember, even if the pattern, the ways by which we offer the prayers, our educational system, our food patterns, all these are being changed, my dear friends. That means it is dynamic. Next one is, it is also gratifying. Culture is also gratifying because all the needs of the human beings, whether it is biological, whether it's social or psychological, all these are satisfied through this culture. And this culture is going to be a form of guidance for the individuals to satisfy all the needs of the individuals. That is the reason we are going to call it as gratifying. Culture varies from society to one society. If you see in Jammu and Kashmir, their belief system, their dress patterns, their food habits vary from that of the people who are there in Telangana. It varies from one society to the other society. And culture is super organic. Why they have said, why not they have mentioned it is organic or inorganic? Because culture consists of both the belief systems, material aspects, everything. And whatever the culture has been defined, it has been done in order to satisfy the requirements of the people, taking the nature, the surroundings into account, my dear friends. That is the reason why we call it as super organic. And it is going to be ideal one, which is going to motivate the people to satisfy the requirements. So that is the reason why we also call it as ideal one. Culture can be selective, like what kind of food I want to have, what kind of dress I want to put on. So it is also selective, my dear friends. Okay. Then let us discuss about the functions of culture. It is going to distinguish, make a difference between man and human being. Culture is going to mold the personality of the individual. It provides solutions for complicated situations. Culture will try to keep the social relations intact. And this culture will also help us to create new needs. Okay, that means it is trying to satisfy the new urges or the needs of the individuals. And at last, my dear friends, this culture is the treasury of knowledge. It is going to provide us different situations, and in that different situations, how we need to behave, that is going to be provided. And last one is, let us discuss about the types of culture. Culture is classified into two types. One is material culture and the other one is non-material culture by Ogburn. Ogburn has classified culture into two types. One is material culture and the other one is non-material culture. Whatever the material which we are going to use from our birth till death, that is going to be a part and parcel of our material culture. We brush our teeth, brush is material, paste is material, towel, soap, food, everything is material, clothes, all these are material culture. And what is non-material culture, beta? Our beliefs, ideas, traditions, customs, all these are going to become part and parcel of this non-material culture. Both this material culture as well as non-material culture will go hand in hand. For example, if a Hindu marriage is going on, at the time what we expect, beta? We expect a Brahmin to perform or initiate the marriage. He is going to chant the spells, and at the time the boy is going to tie the Mangal Sutra. Mangal Sutra is the material, and people think that he can tie the 3 knots, but when a Brahmin is going to chant the spells, at that time it is going to bring auspiciousness to the marriage ceremony. So both material culture and non-material culture are going hand in hand, my dear friends. Even I know the chants, they will not allow me to perform the marriage ceremony because I'm not a priest or a Brahmin, remember. So both of them go together. But sometimes, do you know what happens, beta? One culture will be moving very, very fast, whereas the other culture will be moving very, very slow, will be moving very, very slow. So one will be moving fast and one will be moving, lagging behind. So we call it as cultural lag. We call it as cultural lag. Any can move forward, anything can lag behind. If we see in America, material culture is moving very, very fast, whereas non-material culture, blind faith, customs, all these are lagging behind. There, the non-material culture is lagging behind. In the underdeveloped countries or the developing countries, the material culture is lagging behind, whereas non-material culture is moving very, very fast. I would like to give one example and I would like to conclude. During 1980s and 90s, when this HIV or AIDS was spreading like anything, there was a study to know why Africa is #1 in terms of HIV or AIDS. At the time, they came to know that if any person has the symptoms of HIV or AIDS, they think that a ghost has occupied their body, a belief system, a blind faith. And if that ghost has to move away from the body, the people needs to have a physical relation with an unmarried girl or a spinster. And that is the reason why the HIV incidence is very, very higher in the African countries during 80s and 90s, my dear friends. In the African continent, the non-material culture is moving very, very fast, whereas material culture is moving very, very slow and it is backward, it is lagging behind. So we call it as cultural lag. So I hope you have understood this. So in today's class, we have discussed about social structure, social functions, social system, as well as culture, my dear friends. Okay, beta, have a nice day. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, beta, or else we'll conclude the lecture. Any doubts, beta? Okay, beta. Yes, beta, tell me. Someone has raised the hand. Okay. Chalo, beta, have a nice day. Enjoy them. Someone has raised the hand, but they are not saying anything. Okay. Beta, you can see what you can do. You can also text in the chat box, okay, if you have any doubts. Someone has raised the hand. If you have any doubts, type in this chat box and I'll respond to you.